Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be taking a look at all the baby dinosaurs in Prehistoric Kingdom and how they grow up into an adult. So sit back, relax and enjoy. Don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to the channel. So the first dinosaur we're going to be taking a look at is the Spinosaurus. And isn't he just absolutely adorable at this age anyway, not so much when they're an adult. But you will notice that he is lacking the huge sail on his back, his tail is quite thin and narrow, and he's lacking his head crest as well. And the teeth are not very large, they're very tiny little teeth, and the eye is very big in comparison to the size of the skull. And this is what I like about what Prehistoric Kingdom have done with these baby animals. They're not just shrunken down versions of the adults. You can see this looks completely different to an adult Spinosaurus. And I'm going to show you now how he will grow. So here you can see this first bar is the maturity, and you can see it shows what percentage of maturity your animal is. Now Spinosaurus took about 20 years to grow into a full adult. So if we go up to about 10%, this is about 2 years old. A 2-year-old Spinosaurus. You can see the sail is starting to push out a little bit, and as we go on you can see that sail really starts to grow at 30%. Let's go all the way up to 50%. My goodness. And that is 10 years old. Look at those teeth. The head crest is starting to form. The eye has shrunk. Well, it's not really shrunk. The skull has just got a lot bigger. And that sail is really starting to develop. And so is the tail. Look at that tail. Really looking nice and fat for swimming, and he's only 10 years old. So if we go up to about 75%, this is a teenage Spinosaurus, 15 years old, and looking absolutely enormous. Look at that. Absolutely incredible, but still a little bit of growing to go. Let's go up for another 5 years. You can see the sail really pushing up there. Wow. And there we have it, a fully grown Spinosaurus at the age of 20. And they could live to about 30 years of age. Incredible. Now let me just tell you about these other bars down here. So this one in the middle, the Neoteny, this is your cap. So if you want your Spinosaurus to only grow to about 50%, you can put it on that, and when you put him into your park, he will only grow to here. He won't grow into an adult. If you want him to stay as a baby, you can cap it there, and he won't grow into an adult. He will just stay as a baby, walking around like this for the rest of his life. And the last bar is the growth speed. So you can have it fast, you can have it normal, slow, or realistic. And to be honest, I think I would rather have realistic, because I want to watch the babies grow up and really, pay attention to it. I don't want it to happen too fast. You blink and then they're a full-grown adult. So I will probably be choosing the growth speed of realistic for my baby animals. But we do have another interesting skin for the Spinosaurus. Look at this. You can have him scaly or with feathers on. How cool is that? A baby Spinosaurus with feathers. Now let's take a look how he grows. So if we come up to about, I need to put this back up here so I can move the maturity. You can see around 20% he's starting to lose his feathers. You can see there's still a little bit here, they're shortening, but then around here he's starting to lose them, and maybe fledging the nest at that point. And this is my favourite skin for the Spinosaurus. Look at that. Look at those beautiful colours. Absolutely gorgeous. Now, here's a question for you. Which baby Spinosaurus do you prefer? Is it the one with feathers or the one with scales? Because I'm really struggling to make a decision here. I can't make my mind up. So, let me know in the comments down below, do you prefer scales or do you prefer feathers? Let me know. Now, let's move on and take a look at the other babies in Prehistoric Kingdom growing up. Next up, we have the Tyrannosaurus Rex. And as you can see, it looks nothing like the adults. Very long, slender legs. The arms are much bigger in comparison to its body size, and the head is really slender. It's not as robust. And look how big those eyes are. Now, Tyrannosaurus Rex took around 20 years, similar to the Spinosaurus, to grow to full maturity, and they could live up to 30 years old. So, if we go up to 5%, that's only 1 year. Not much difference there for the 1 year of growth. Let's go up to 2 years, 3 years, and around 4 years old, you can see that he's lost his feathers. He's now completely scaly. So at this point, they may be fledging the nest and possibly going hunting themselves. They might be hunting things like small mammals, baby dinosaurs, lizards and snakes, things like that. So that's after 4 years of growth. Looking you in the eye now, that's how big they are. And let's go up to 5 years, 6 years, 7. Oh, now you can see it's starting to get a bit out of control here. Look how big he's getting. He's now towering over you. But he still has a very slender face, very long, skinny legs. But he is starting to get rather large now. And that's at 10 years old. So let's go up to... Oh, it's starting to get a bit more stocky. Let's go to 75. So this is around a 15-year-old Tyrannosaurus Rex, a teenager. And he looks quite menacing now, quite terrifying. You definitely wouldn't want to come across this animal in the wild. You can see the face is starting to get much more robust. The jaws are bigger. The arms have started to shrink to the size of the body. And the legs are looking a bit more stocky. Let's go up to fully grown. Look at that. Much more stocky there as an adult. Look how thick the legs are. The body is so robust, and the head. Wow. Absolutely incredible. So there we have it, a full-grown Tyrannosaurus Rex at the age of 20 years old. And here we have the Velociraptor, and I think this dinosaur may win the award for the cutest baby in this game. Just look at that little face. Adorable. And Velociraptors could grow up rapidly. They could grow to full size in 2 to 3 years. So they weren't just fast at running, they were also fast at growing up. So if we go to about 30%, this could potentially be 1 year of growth, and you can see that they become much more streamlined. The tail has got longer, and the snout is also starting to stick out a bit more as well. So if we go up to around here, that could be the 2nd year, much more streamlined, and you can see just after 50%, you can see there, watch, you can see the feathers here, they've become a bit more denser, and also at the back of the tail here as well, they fill out as well. Look at that. Just after 50%. And if we go all the way up to a full-grown adult, you can see now much more streamline. Those feathers are filled out completely, and they are ready to join the adults and go out and hunt. Time for a sauropod now. This is a Apatosaurus, and what's so impressive about this dinosaur is just how quickly it could get to maturity, taking only about 15 years. Now, when you compare this to the T-Rex that took 20 years to become fully grown, but the thing is, look at just how big this animal gets when it's fully grown. That's what makes it so incredible. So in 15 years it would be fully grown. So let's go to 10%. So this is just over a year's worth of growth. So he's gone from looking at your waist to looking at your head in just over a year. So if we go to 25%, this is like 3 years worth of growth. So he's gone from here to here. Absolutely incredible. Now if we go to 50%, look at that. That's 7 years worth of growth. 7 years. And if we go all the way to the end, boom, fully grown at 15 years old. And what's remarkable is these animals could actually live up to 70 to 100 years old. How amazing is that? And here we have a close relative of the Apatosaurus. This is Plateosaurus. And just look at that face. He looks like he's giving us a little cheeky smile there. Absolutely adorable. And these dinosaurs only had a lifespan around 20 years of age and came to maturity around 12 years old. So similar to the other dinosaurs, around 10-year mark. So if we go up about 10%, you can see not much change here. 2 years old, getting a bit bigger, almost at the height of a human being. And then 3 years old. It's mad to think he was down here a minute ago. Now 3 years, he's towering over the human being. And you can see the head is starting to get smaller in comparison to the body. The eye is smaller as well. The neck seems to be getting longer. The body is getting much more robust. This is at 5 years old. So he's about halfway there now. 6 years old, 7 years. Look at how robust the body is getting. And there we go, fully grown. Marvellous. And we actually have 2 different species of Plateosaurus on this game. Now this one is the smaller species, but there are some differences that you can notice. This lovely striking pattern of black and white on the body. Beautiful. And also the eyes. With the other species the eyes were completely black, but with this one the pupil really stands out. Very, very nice. And this one will probably grow a bit quicker because it's not as big, so it'll probably grow to maturity a little bit faster. So this is probably about a year, probably under a decade to get to full size. You can see there, look at the eye shrinking. Well, not really shrinking, the head's just getting a bit bigger. And the body is getting bigger compared to the head as well. Look at the neck really stretching out. And there we have a fully grown Plateosaurus. Still a very big animal, just not as big as the other species. Ankylosaurus, the tank of the Cretaceous. But he's not a tank yet. He's got a bit of growing to do before he becomes a tank. As you can see, the armor plating is very, very small, and the club at the end of his tail is basically non-existent at this time. Now, Ankylosaurus could get to full maturity within a decade, and they could live up to 80 years. Once they've reached maturity, basically nothing can kill them because they're so well protected from that armor. So let's go up to about 10%. That's about a year old. Let's go up to 2 years old. You can see the armor really starting to develop now on the head here and on the sides of the body. Let's go up to 50%. So this is around 5 years of age, looking very intimidating now. And look at that, you can really start to see these ones on the side of the leg here really sticking out. And there we go, fully grown in a decade. Let me just show you the angle from the back here to see the club developing. So you can see, look at that, the tail growing there, and also these ones at the side, look at those ones really sticking out. My goodness. And it's mad to think that club weighed around 20 kilograms. So the muscles in the back of the tail here would have to be very, very strong to keep that up off the ground. So there we have it. There is the Ankylosaurus. This is Scelidosaurus. And this dinosaur grew to adulthood in about 10 to 13 years. So if we go up to about 10%, that's about a year old. Not much difference there, still looking very scrawny. And as we go up to about 2, you can see the colour changing there. About 5 years of age, and you can see the body starts to stretch. Look at that, how it stretches out. And these armor plates are really starting to protrude now, and the body stretches out even further, and there we have a full-grown Scelidosaurus. Quite a small dinosaur, only reaching up to about your hip, but look at all those plates now used for protection from all the dangerous predators that would be interested in eating him. So there we have it, there's the Scelidosaurus. And here we have the Parasaurolophus. You can see the crest on the top of its head hasn't developed yet, and this was used for making sound, for communicating with the herd, maybe warning others of predators close by. And this dinosaur lived 55 to 70 years of age, but became mature around 20 years old. So if we go up to 10% here, that's around 2 years old. You can see the horn slightly started to grow a little bit, and then we go up to 4 years of age, then up to 5, and then 50% here. So 50% looking quite mature there actually, and this animal will be around 10 years old now. And then as we go further, you can see the horn just growing. The legs are getting longer as well, and there we have it, fully grown. Look at that enormous animal, absolutely incredible. A close relative of the Parasaurolophus. In fact, I thought it was the same dinosaur, but no, this is Charonosaurus. I hope I've said that correctly. But this animal, again, grew to maturity in about the same amount of time, but it is a bit bigger. Now, watch the crest on the top here. This one turns to a nice, beautiful red and blue. Look at that. And even the face as well starts to change in colour. And just look at how big this dinosaur gets. Absolutely enormous, towering over the human being there. Absolutely colossal. This is the last species of Parasaurolophus that we have, the Parasaurolophus chiroteroque, right? Oh, I'm not even going to bother. I give up trying to say that. But this dinosaur, you'll notice with the head crest, it tends to bend backwards more. Watch the crest develop here. You can see, rather than shooting upwards, it starts to bend really back towards the back of the head there. And I suppose that would make a different sound. So maybe that's why it's evolved in this way, who knows. Let's have a ceratopsian now. This is Velociraptor's favourite food, the Protoceratops. And as you can see, at this stage of its life, the crest is very small. Look how big those eyes are. And this dinosaur grew rapidly, only taking about 4 years to grow to full maturity. It only lived for about 10 to 15 years. So in 1 year, you can see, look at that, about 25%, that's about 1 year. You can see the eyes have started to shrink. Well, not really shrink, the head's just getting a lot bigger, the skull is starting to develop. You can see there, look at that, how much it's grew. And then there we go to about 2 years. And you might notice as well the spines on the back of the tail, look at those, how they start to shoot out. Let's go all the way to 3 years. Look at the head now getting much more robust. And then, wow, look at that. Famous from its starring role in Jurassic Park, this is Dilophosaurus. But you may be surprised to see just how big this dinosaur can grow. It's a lot bigger than it was shown in the movie. And this dinosaur could grow to full maturity within 5 to 10 years and had a lifespan of 20 to 30 years. So let's go up to 10%. So you can see not much change there. So this is about maybe a year old, or maybe 2 years old, depending how fast it could actually grow. Could be 5 years, could be 10. But then as we go up to about 20%, you can see the feathers are starting to disappear, but the crest is nowhere to be seen yet. And then if we go up to around 40%, you can see the crest is starting to develop. Just look how big it is already. It's not even on 50%. Now in the movie, it's about, would you say about here? That's how big it is in the movie, but just wait to see how large this dinosaur gets. So you can really see now the crest is really coming out. Look at that, oh my goodness. Still not fully grown, and there we have it. Absolutely enormous. A big difference from here to here, isn't it? Imagine coming across that. I think Dennis would not be throwing a stick at this dinosaur to try and shoo it away, I tell you that. So there you have it. There's a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old Dilophosaurus at full maturity. Next up we have the giant goose, the Dinocheirus, and this dinosaur was in similar size to the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and it took about the same time to get that large, about 20 years to get to an adult. But it could live a lot longer, around 35 to 50 years. And it does look rather bald here. I was expecting a bit more feathers. It looks like it's got really short down feathers on it. But let's see how it ages. So let's go to 10%. This is its first year. Not much difference, just the size. Let's go up to the second year. Oh, did you see that? Look at the eye. The eye is completely black here. And then it starts to go a bit smaller. Interesting. And you can also see, look at those feathers appearing on the hands and on the back of the tail there. and a bit of colour difference as well, starting to get a bit darker. Interesting. And he's starting to grow really, really big. At 50%, this is about 10 years old. A 10-year-old Dinosaurs, and looking quite menacing. Look at those claws on the hands. And then we'll go up to about 15 years old, looking very big, looking very mature, and then you can see the hump there. Watch the hump. Really pokes out at the top. Amazing. What a bizarre looking dinosaur. Another sauropod now. This is Camarasaurus. Now there's 3 different species of this dinosaur for me to show you. So this first one is a lovely red colour. And this dinosaur could grow to maturity in about 20 years, but only had a lifespan about 26 years. So it didn't live very long. I was expecting it to live a bit longer than that. The sauropods tend to live much longer, but not this one. So this is a 2-year-old Camarasaurus. Just look at that. He's gone from your waist to your head in just 2 years. Let's go up again to another 2 years. So this is 4 years of age. He's now towering above you. You could even get on him and probably ride him. Let's go up another 2 years. There we go. Look at that. Really getting large now. Let's go all the way up to 50%. So at 50%, this is around 10 years old. Really, really big now. And then coming up to the 15 mark, 15 years of age, getting really big, and then boom, fully grown. And this is actually the smallest species of the Camarasaurus that's on the game. So let's have a look at the other ones, just how big they can get. So this is our second species. This is Camarasaurus supremus. So again, you can see just in 2 years he's already looking over you, and then 4 years. So let's go up to 50%. So there's 10 years. 10 years, look at him. You'd think that was a fully grown animal, but actually no, he's got a lot more to go. Look at that. Much more stocky, and there he is, fully grown at around 20 years. It's astonishing how something this small can shoot up to something this big in such a little amount of time. Extraordinary. And here is our last species of Camarasaurus. This is the Camarasaurus lentus. So let's see how big this one grows in just 2 years. Yep, he's towering over you already. And look at that. Absolutely incredible how fast these animals grew. All the way up to 20 years. Phenomenal. The problem is with these sauropods is when you're this size, nothing can really see you, so it's easy to hide. And when you're this big, you're too big to be hunted, because no one's going to want to take on an animal of this size. The problem is when you're around this size, you're big enough to be noticed, but not big enough to really defend yourself. So you're really in a rush to get as big as you can, as fast as you can. You want to get here as soon as possible so that you're not on the menu for predators. And here we have Carcharodontosaurus. This dinosaur lived in Africa alongside the Spinosaurus, and it has quite a long lifespan, around 40 to 50 years old, which is quite long when you compare it to the other theropods we've looked at today. But it reached maturity around 30 years old. So if we go up 5%, that's 3 years, 6 years, 9 years. And if we go all the way here, you can see he's starting to lose his feathers at 40%. 50% here. This is about a 15-year-old Carcharodontosaurus, and already looking quite menacing, towering above the human here. And then he starts to really bulk out into his 20s, and eventually coming up to 30. Look at the snout. Watch the snout from when he's a baby. Look at it, really stretches out. Wow, unbelievable. What a magnificent animal. Look at how big it is. Oh my god, it's absolutely huge. Another dinosaur from Africa. This is Ouranosaurus. And this dinosaur could grow absolutely rapid. It could get to full maturity at just 7 years old. So if we go up to 25%, this is almost 2 years of growth. Look at that, the sail is starting to develop on its back. Let's go to 50%. So this is around 3 years. 3 years of growth, 3.5 years. And you can see here a bit of colour is starting to show on the back of its sail. So it is coming close to maturity now. And let's go a little bit further. You can see that sail really coming up now. More colours are coming out. And this is about 4 years, coming up to 5. Beautiful. And then for the last few years, you can see, look at that, the colour really flashes out and the sail really does protrude there. Absolutely beautiful. I love the colour and the design on this dinosaur. So beautiful. And here we have a very fluffy Acrocanthosaurus. Now this dinosaur lived till about 30 years of age and matured at around 20 years old. So very similar to the Tyrannosaurus Rex. So if we move this bar up to about 25%, this is a 5-year-old Acrocanthosaurus. Still got his feathers. Very big though, he's starting to get quite large. Let's move up another 25%, up to 50. You can see the feathers are starting to thin. He's still got them, still a little bit of down feather, and around 50, just over 50% of the way, just over 10 years old, he's lost his feathers and is completely scaly. But he's only about 50% of the way there. He's still got a bit of growing to go. So let's go up another 25, let's go up to 75%. Here he's in his teen years. And a very big animal. You definitely wouldn't want to come across him. But still not fully grown. So let's go up all the way now. You can see him starting to get a bit more stocky, a bit more bulky. And there we have it, a full-grown Acrocanthosaurus. My goodness. Next up we have the Coelophysis, and this dinosaur grew up absolutely rapid. It could reach adulthood in 2 to 3 years. Outstanding. And its lifespan was only around 10 to 15 years old. So if we go up to about 30%, that's like the first year, or even to 50%. So around the first year, it's losing its feathers. You can see the feathers are starting to disappear there. And then as we go into the second year, around here or here, it could be fully grown. Absolutely incredible. So these ones grow up really, really fast. And here we have the Nasutoceratops. Now I couldn't find anything on how old this animal was when it matured, but I'm guessing it'll be similar to that of the Triceratops. But it is a little bit smaller, so I'm guessing maybe less than a decade. But pay attention to these little horns, how they grow. They kind of stick out, a bit like that of a bull or cattle. So as we go up here, you can see the horns, they tend to come out and then point forward and slightly curve upwards as well. Let's go a little bit further. You can see as well the eye shrinking there as the skull gets bigger and bigger. Look at those horns. You definitely want them. Do you know what? They look like an African buffalo's horns. Imagine it flinging its head to one side. It could do some damage to a predator with those if it hit the predator in the belly. And there we go, fully grown. You can see the crest has grown massive. The front of the face there as well, the beak, look at the beak growing forward. Yes, you certainly wouldn't want to be charged by this dinosaur with those horns. But what a beautiful dinosaur. This is Edmontosaurus, a huge hadrosaur. And what's interesting about this dinosaur is they grew to the same size as Tyrannosaurus rex, but they could do it in half the time, taking only about 9 years, around a decade, to get to the same size as a T-Rex. T-Rex had to do it in 20 years, but Edmontosaurus can do it much faster. So there's 1 year of growth there. Extraordinary. Gone from a hatchling to about the size of a large dog. And then if we go to 2 years, you can see now about the size of a pony. 3 years, a large horse. Then we go to 4 years, 5 years, look at that, oh my goodness. It looks like a fully grown animal already, but it's only 50% of the way there. It's got a bit more growing to do. You can also see some colours starting to show on the body there. Let's go a bit more. 6 years, 7 years, look at that. Truly enormous, all the way to a full-grown adult in around 9 to 10 years. Look at that, it's enormous, absolutely huge. What a beast. Here we have another species of Edmontosaurus, but interestingly this one, pay attention to the top of its head. You can see there a crest is forming, and this is probably used for mating, to attract females and to show that you're mature and you're ready to mate. Interestingly though, this one would take around 10 to 15 years to reach full maturity, even though it's not as big as the other species. I wonder why that is. And here we have our last species of Edmontosaurus. This one is the smallest and it doesn't have a crest. So this one is rather bland. Not much colour on it either, no crest, no colour, and rather small. So there we have our last Edmontosaurus species. Here we have a close cousin of the Tyrannosaurus rex. This is Tarbosaurus, and it looks pretty much identical to the Tyrannosaurus rex chick. It's only as it starts to grow up that you notice there's a bit of a difference. Around 4 years in, it starts to lose its feathers, and they would have had a similar lifespan to the Tyrannosaurus rex, give or take. So around here at 50%, we're about 10 years old. Very long legs, but you can see with the design that the team have done here, they've got more of a droopy chin on the throat here, a bit of like a sagging on the throat. I think they've gone from this design from birds of prey and things like that. So you can see that the throat is really sagging. And then once it reaches full maturity at age 20, around that mark, we have a full-grown Tarbosaurus. And here we have the most famous of the horned dinosaurs, the Triceratops, T-Rex's favourite food. But as you can see, at this early stage in this dinosaur's life, they lack those long horns, and the frill is tiny at this point. Now, Triceratops could grow to full maturity within 6 to 13 years. So we'll say around 10 to make it easy. So if we go up to 10%, there is the first year. As you can see, those horns are starting to grow. The frill is getting a bit bigger. Let's go up to 2 years, 20%. Look at that, it's getting a little bit larger now. Those horns are looking a little bit more menacing. 3 years, 4 years. Wow, looking much more mature now. And you can see the face is getting longer and the beak is starting to overhang as well, probably to help it eat the tough vegetation, to snap off branches and things like that as it's getting older. And look at that, 5 years. Look at those horns now, looking a lot more intimidating. 6 years, 7 years, almost looks like a full-grown Triceratops. But as you can see, we're not done yet. It's still growing. Look at that. Look at those horns stretch out. How long they go. My goodness. And there we have a full-grown Triceratops around 10 years old. And these animals could live from about 80 to 90 years of age. Very old dinosaurs indeed, if they manage to survive the Tyrannosaurus Rex. We also have a different species of Triceratops, the Triceratops prorussus. Now, this guy's horns tend to point down more. So watch as it develops now. You'll notice that the horns start to bend. Look at that. They're pointing upwards and then they turn down. Whereas the other Triceratops, the horns tend to fling up more rather than pointing downwards like this. Very interesting. This little guy is called Lambeosaurus, and once again takes around 20 years to reach full maturity with a lifespan of up to 30 years. Now, the main difference you're going to notice with this little one is the head crest on top of his head. Now, if you have a look here, you can see around 4 years old, that head crest is starting to push upwards and become brightly coloured. Now, around here, 10 years old, looking quite mature. I imagine this would have been used to attract a mate, to attract females, to say, look at me, I'm ready to mate. And it probably would have been brightly coloured like this as well, to try and attract females. And you can see here as we go up into his teenage years, it's really starting to stick out. There's also this bit here, that wasn't there before. It's really starting to stick out at the back now. And at fully grown, look how enormous this animal is now. At 20 years old, the crest is really protruding from the skull, and this horn at the back of the head as well. And the animal is absolutely enormous. In just 20 years from this to this. Incredible. Here we have a Lielanosaura, and this little dinosaur could grow to full maturity within 5 to 7 years. So let's go up to about 25%. This is about nearly 2 years old, give or take. And you can see at the top of the head here is starting to change in colour a little bit. You can see just a little bit there. If we go up to 50%, wow, really changing at the top here. And the tail, the end of the tail is getting much more bushier, a bit like that of a squirrel's. So this is around 3 years old. And then if we come up, almost an adult now, and then at 7 years old, you can see the colours really bright here around the throat and the top of the head. And that tail, look how bushy that tail has gone now. It's gone from there to really sticking out. Very nice. And here we have a little woolly Dryosaurus. Very fluffy indeed. And the only place that they don't have feathers is on the back of the tail here, which is a bit strange. It looks a bit odd that only the tail hasn't got any feathers on at all, and I suppose the feet as well, but that looks normal. But the tail really must get cold without any feathers on it. And this dinosaur took about 10 to 13 years to reach full maturity. So if we go up 10% here, you can see that's a year old. Still got their feathers. Let's go up to 2 years old. Oh, you can see here the feathers are starting to shorten. Still got a bit of down feather on them. And then here, around 27, just coming up to 30%, those feathers are completely gone. So this will be age 3. And it's completely scaly now. And just as we pass that, you can see the colour of the skin really turn a nice bright green, very vibrant green. Wow. And here around 5 years old, really starting to get rather big. Dryosaurus, they look small, but when you compare them to the size of a human, they actually are rather big. And we're still not fully grown yet. 6, 7, 8 years old, and then all the way to 10 or 13 years old. And look, they are quite large when you think about it, compared to a human being. If they stood up, they'd probably be able to look you right in the eyes. So there we have it. There's our cute little Dryosaurus. Next we have the Pachyrhinosaurus. And look, it's covered in feathers. In fact, at a glance at the right angle, you may mistake it for a mammal. If you didn't see the tail or the head, it looks like some kind of mammal of some sort. And once again, this dinosaur took around 20 years to reach full maturity. They all seem to be 10 or 20 years, don't they? Well, the big ones do anyway. The smaller ones, they can do it in just a few years. But if we go to 25% here, that's around a 5-year-old Pachyrhinosaur. And you can see the crest has got a bit bigger. These horns are starting to develop on the top of the crest. And also this big, what would you call it? It's not even a nose. It's like a big hammer. Just a big slab of bone on the front of the nose there. Is starting to develop. So if we go up to about 10 years old, you can see now their crest is really starting to grow. The feathers have really started to get thick around the neck area and under here. Let's go up a bit more to 15 years. Oh, look at the nose there, really starting to develop, and the horns on the head. Wow. Look at that. You certainly wouldn't want to be hit by that, would you? My God. And those horns at the head there as well. Do you know what? It reminds me of a prehistoric muskox. It's like a muskox mixed between a dinosaur. How strange. But what a cool design. Moving on to the next species of Pachyrhinosaur. And this one is a bit larger, but it doesn't have any fur. So if you look closely, you can see once again that huge, whatever you want to call it, this massive horn that's not really a horn on its head, growing massive there, and the horns really curling downwards on this one rather than up. And also we've got these little ones here that point inwards. How interesting. And a lot bigger than the last one. Really, really large. And for our last Pachyrhinosaur, this one has these beautiful stripes, a bit like a zebra. How interesting. And this is the largest Pachyrhinosaur that we have on the game. So let's watch it develop. That's probably about the size In fact, maybe a bit small of the woolly one around there at 50%. So this one is a lot larger. Let's watch the horn there at the front. Look at that grow. Wow, it really swells out into this huge ball. And again, we have these horns on the top of the head and these ones pointing inwards. And look how big it is. My goodness, you wouldn't want to be charged by that thing. Could definitely do some damage. Now this is a Psittacosaurus, a relative of the horned dinosaurs. But as you can see, they're still only on 2 legs at this point, and they haven't evolved the crest and those long horns on the front of their heads. But they do have these cheek horns on the side here. And Psittacosaurus could grow to an adult in about 10 years. So if we go up to about 10%, you can see at the back of the tail here, some feathers are starting to grow. So let's go up a bit more to 2 years, 3 years. Those feathers are really starting to come out. And also those horn cheeks are really starting to grow as well. Let's go up to 6 years. You can see them really pushing out. And look at that. Wow. God knows what they were used for. And look at the tail. You can see they really flash out there. And this was probably used for attracting a mate. To say, wow, look at me. Look at my lovely feathers that I have on my tail. Beautiful. And this is the second species of Psittacosaurus that we have. This one, as you can see as it grows, the horns seem to be a lot bigger. But they also have these horns on the bottom of their jaw. And also these ones here on their eyes. And even 2 little ones on their head. Just watch those develop. Look at that. Wow. Incredible. So you've got these 2, these massive ones. These 2 seem to cover up their eyes. They must have had some blind spots in front of their face. And then the little diddy ones on top of their head. But no feathers on the tail with this one. And for our last Psittacosaurus, this one does have feathers on the tail. And it does have horns, but not as many. Just 2 really big ones here. And then these ones a little bit, but not much. And they start to really push out. Look at that. Wow. And we have those lovely feathers. Not as brightly coloured as the other one, but we do have some lovely quills sticking out from the tail there. Marvellous. So there we have it. Those are all the baby dinosaurs in Prehistoric Kingdom so far. We're still waiting on the Argentinosaurus, Brachiosaurus, Torvosaurus, Iguanodon and the Muttaburrasaurus. So we still have those 5 to look forward to. In our next video, we'll be looking at the baby mammals of Prehistoric Kingdom. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it.